When our physical bodies spike a fever or feel a sudden, sharp pain, we immediately recognize the danger. We go to a doctor, we run tests, and we look for a cure. But we rarely apply that same urgency to the invisible condition of our spiritual heart. In the Islamic tradition, Iman, or faith, is a living condition that fluctuates constantly. It is a dynamic state, rising and falling based on a person's environment and their daily habits. Humans are born with fitra, a natural, intuitive inclination toward belief, and a baseline awareness of a divine purpose. But like a muscle, that baseline must be actively fed and exercised to survive the friction of daily life. This balance scale visualizes the primary threat to that survival, ghafla. This translates to a state of profound heedlessness. When the heavy weight of the finite material world consumes all your attention, it violently ejects any awareness of your ultimate spiritual destination. Spiritual decay does not trigger a physical cough or a headache. To catch the disease before the heart becomes permanently hardened, we have to learn how to identify its specific behavioral symptoms. The clearest diagnostic test for a weakened spiritual state happens internally, in the exact moment a mistake is made. It all comes down to how a person perceives their own sins. A person with a sensitive heart experiences a sin as a crushing weight, like a mountain resting on their back. But someone with weak faith treats that exact same action as a passing fly, swatting it away. That lack of guilt breeds a dangerous internal apathy. The heart becomes calloused. A person in this state can commit wrongs without remorse, and eventually witness the intense suffering of others and feel absolutely zero empathy. This apathy inevitably bleeds into physical action. It manifests as extreme laziness. Simple acts of charity feel impossible, and standing for the daily prayer, or salat, becomes an exhausting chore rather than a moment of peace. Consistently feeling bored by worship and brushing off harmful actions are severe medical red flags. They indicate a diseased heart that has lost its connection to its creator. Outwardly, this decay fuels the ego. Islamic scholars like Hamza Yusuf detail how a diseased heart produces unchecked error. Conversely, a diseased heart experiences extreme panic. In these texts, despair and sorrow are explicitly described as the direct companions of distrust and dissatisfaction. These direct correlations between behavior and spiritual state demonstrate a consistent cause and effect relationship. Because these negative traits are the outcome of specific spiritual neglect, the entire process is reversible through the intentional application of spiritual cures. The prescribed cure focuses on consistency, prioritizing small, manageable habits over unsustainable bursts of worship. The prophetic wisdom compares this to a single drop of water. One drop seems powerless, but falling consistently day after day, it will eventually carve through the hardest, most unyielding stone. Slight continuous actions are the best way to break through a hardened heart. This physical discipline must be paired with tafakkur, or deep reflection. This requires approaching the Qur'an with the intent to analyze its meanings, treating the words as a direct communication addressed specifically to you. That deep reflection extends to the physical universe. Recognizing that every detail in existence operates by divine permission, even a black ant on a black rock on a moonless night, shrinks the human ego and cures the panic of feeling out of control. Finally, the environment must be treated. Shifting from doubt to certainty requires attending gatherings where God is remembered, known as dhikr, and keeping the company of sincere, righteous people who remind you of your purpose. By taking our spiritual symptoms seriously and applying these consistent daily cures, we protect our most vital organ. The ultimate goal of this life is simply to arrive at the end of it, standing before the Creator,